these scores, they do serve as a strong signal. Again, as much as we've presented the negative part, they do serve as a strong signal that atherosclerosis is present. So I don't want that to get lost in this, conversation. The scoring in and of itself can help us, can also be used in tandem with the other risk sort of algorithm calculators, percentages that we use to maybe determine if somebody's a good or better candidate for statin or for other interventions.
Right.
So it is another piece of the puzzle. Absolutely. So this isn't just to completely shut it down. It's a strong predictor of risk. It's a strong predictor of risk for future events. Coronary heart disease, for example, again, and ASCVD. There is a statistic that the presence of coronary artery calcium indicates a 2.6 to 4.3 fold increased risk. Yes, of coronary heart disease, and a 2.1 to 2.6 fold increase in the risk of ASCVD.
Okay.
Compared to a score of 0. So again, it's very...
Yeah, score of 0 doesn't mean you have no chance. It's just your chance is X. And then if you have higher scores, it's that compounded.
Right.
So if I understand, again, I want to just make sure I'm hearing you. What you're saying is the score, if your score is 0, that doesn't necessarily mean you're safe. It just means it hasn't calcified.
Possibly.
And if your score is higher, that is a very good indication that you have some serious risk factors and are at a much greater risk.
Correct.
So
and you can assume that there's probably some uncalcified plaque as well.
Right.
But also if you're 85, you can already, instead of running the test, you can assume
right
that this person,
because as we age, that's just a part of it to some extent.
Yes.
Okay. So I get the test done. I have a higher calcium score. So I know that I'm at a multifold increased risk of negative atherosclerotic events. How do I bring that score down?
In general, my understanding is that we're not likely to bring the score down.
Darn.
And so the goal is to, if there is a lot of free plaque, so to speak, in there, that we can get that to stabilize. The goal would be to manage additional accumulation of plaque and nasty particles, foam cells, like we mentioned, manage that via the risk predictors that we talked about, smoking, hypertension, controlling those things, high blood sugar,
smoking, hypertension,
yes.
High blood sugar, type 2 diabetes.
Yes. LDL cholesterol.
Yep.
Yes. Managing the atherogenic load
right
in the arteries.
Statins.
Yes. And so while it's meek, or whatever the word is, negative, that maybe you can't reduce the score, the goal again is to try to see by way of these other interventions to get some of it to again stabilize and to prevent additional from accumulating. So in this gentleman's case or woman, for example, you would be likely to see the doctor recommend bringing that, intervening on that elevated LDL cholesterol reading.
Right.
Absolutely. Because it's an important pillar of managing that risk, because it might be 0 now, depending on your age. We don't know what's floating around. We can't, beyond doing a really sort of invasive, additional, is it really worth that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Would it really? Probably not. So beyond like literally getting in there and checking, we don't necessarily know what it looks like from a plaque standpoint. We can just assume, again, just looking at this globally, that an atherogenic load that high, such as the reading that he mentioned, we can assume there's probably some plaque. There probably is. There's maybe some pushback on that, and just in the camp of, see, I've been carnivore for all this time and it's done nothing to my blood sugar or blood cholesterol levels. Well, that's certainly possible. We're just trying to manage risk.
Yep.
So you, again, like we mentioned a little earlier on, was so let's just say they decide to start a statin. Again, maybe we start to see if they were to repeat the coronary artery calcium, which is unlikely, but maybe they repeat it. And the hope is, again, if there was some plaque beginning to accumulate that was missed on the first one, that maybe we do see some calcification, signifying, hey, we knew there was some atherosclerosis. Now we actually see this trend, maybe trending a little more positively. This is stabilizing.
Interesting. So
I don't think they use that as a metric to say, oh, this is how well statins are working. I don't mean that.
No,
but in a theoretical sense,
it would not be surprising if this person starts a statin, they go back and retest, their LDL-C is lower, substantially lower, but their calcium score goes up because that plaque has a chance to stabilize, and so it makes a negative score actually sort of a positive.
That is
in a weird sort of way.
That is absolutely the paradox that can occur.
Wow.
Yes.
Again, the punchline I heard you say is when you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. If you have plaques building up in your arteries, you should stop adding to that. Do what you can to reduce your cardiovascular load.
100%.
Makes sense to me.